What's up, everybody? It's the Crypto Crow. I got to tell you, the house is kind of a madhouse today, and I'm not sure. I'm not even sure if this is working or what just happened. I know I was making some adjustments and I dropped the monitor like fell, and so I can't even see if I can refresh chat. I'm not sure what's happening. Hopefully this is even working. I guess we'll find out in a minute if it refreshes on its own. So, anyway, I know I look rough. I have been on this kick where I'm not falling asleep until 4, 5, 6 in the morning. Last night I was up until 6 a.m. The Super Bowl lasted forever. Let me check this and see what's happening. This big, gotta figure. I don't know. I don't see anything in chat or anything right now. Let me check the actual. Let me check. Sorry about this. Just want to make sure that I'm actually live. Yeah, so I see you guys actually on. So I'm here. The Super Bowl, yeah, the Super Bowl was really lame. So it's not updating. It's not updating anything in my software. What's up, Jack Martin? So I guess I'll just go with it like this. Maybe I won't even look at that. So anyway, there's some different stuff going on. So basically, my goal moving forward is I want to start doing a daily video again, and not for any reason other than to start pushing myself more to continue learning more outside of what I'm already doing. And a big part of what one of the reasons that I even started this channel back in 2017 was because I was learning so much and I was exposing myself to so many new things, and I was basically sharing what I was learning. By no means an expert, by no means some guru or anything of that nature. I think that a lot of you guys don't necessarily listen to me because you expect me to know everything or because you consider me some super expert. I think a lot of you guys pay attention to my channel because I share what I learn in a very easy to digest way and in kind of a no bullshit kind of way. And I think that resonates with a lot of you. And so, I basically need to keep learning. And, I like last night I came up on, I came up on Patreon for the first time, and I was surprised to see so many people like popping in there. I had no idea how it worked. I logged in and just went live just to kind of ramble for a little bit. And I was surprised to see how many people were interested in the Periscope. And so I'm gonna start doing that a lot more as I'm exposing myself to different things. I'm just gonna start sharing my instant thoughts through Periscope, through little videos, and just kind of see what happens. And just kind of, here's the thing, it's been very, very difficult, and I know that a lot of YouTubers and a lot of other influencers have really just kind of lost a lot of drive, myself included. Not lost the drive as far as crypto is concerned, but lost the drive because it takes so much time and effort to do YouTube videos. I know that it doesn't seem like it, even when you just come on and wing it like I am right now. I'm kind of winging it. But it's definitely a lot more challenging and time consuming than it looks. And so because of that, it's difficult. It's just difficult to keep doing it every day, day in and day out. And so I know, one of the things that I have, and it's saying my live stream health is an orange. So I'm hoping this turns out well. Maybe I just need to reboot everything at some point, but I'll do that for tomorrow's video. There's just so much going on. I mean, obviously everybody knows now that I'm working on my own exchange, and that is a huge, huge, huge undertaking. to say the least. I actually have a big conference call at 1:30, so in an hour, so I can't drag this video out too long. But a lot of conference calls, a lot of legal stuff, filings, paperwork, outside of all of the other stuff. And I should make a quick note that I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard that LBRY exchange closed. Ukrainian crypto exchange LBRY shuts down, cites lack of liquidity. So if you have any crypto that you're holding, you should never obviously hold crypto on exchanges ever. But I know that a lot of you do anyway, but they have shut down. So as of January 29th, they came out with this announcement. I'm sure you probably heard this all by now. But if you have funds or any assets on the crypto LBRY exchange, make sure you clear them out so you don't lose it. And look, here's the thing. Volume is down everywhere. People are talking about crypto is dead. Crypto, Bitcoin's going to zero. The whole crypto market is going to zero. And it's just not the case. Like to be honest, I feel like it couldn't be further from the truth. And I know that there are a lot of people out there who either they don't understand the technology or they don't quite get what's happening. And they're seeing just the numbers fall across the board and they're thinking, oh my God, it's the end of crypto as we know it. No more money to be made. There's no more opportunity. It truly could not be further from the truth. When you're talking about a completely new asset class such as crypto, and you're talking about the technology that's going into this, and what a lot of people are saying, well, Bitcoin serves no real purpose other than just to be traded. I think we all know that that's just a dumb statement to be made. And before I get into a lot of this other stuff, we'll go ahead and get into a little bit about the kind of the main thing of this video, which is quantum computing. Now, quantum computing, I'm not going to lie, it's a very complicated topic, and one that I've been reading on and off for a little while. But in a nutshell, so for those that don't understand what quantum computing is, because you hear a lot of different things about quantum computing and how it could potentially affect crypto. You hear about quantum safe cryptocurrencies that pop up occasionally. And a lot of people don't really understand what is quantum computing. And basically the general, and I could even screw this up, okay? So let me be real clear. It's even difficult for me. When you're trying to read about quantum computing and understand even the fundamentals of what it is and what it is about and how it works, it's a rabbit hole, man. I mean, it is such a rabbit hole. But if you look at this little image I made last night, basic classic computing operates with a memory system of bits. And these bits are basically made up of like ones and zeros, right? Like a lot of people understand the whole binary thing. It's like it's black or white. It's one or zero. It's if or and that's it. Well, quantum computing takes this and expands it in such a way that, if you're looking at this graph, you've got what I read this thing and it said the easiest way to understand quantum computing is to think of a sphere. And at the north and south poles, you have 1 bit and 0 bit. So you have your 1 and your 0. A qubit is basically any point within that sphere. And it can be any, so each qubit in the computational system, as I understand it, each qubit is it's either a 1, a 0, or it could be made up of ones and zeros at the same time. In other words, when you're programming a computer, it's basically saying, okay, in this instance, this is either a 0 or a 1. And the qubit is saying it could be a 0 or a 1 or both or any combination of, and the more qubits you have, the more it expands upon the overall computational system. almost like if you were to say, well, there's a 1-bit, a 0-bit, and then a 3, 4, 5, 6, and then it could be a 34 or 56. I mean, it just expands upon itself the more qubits you have that you're able to process. I think that's kind of the gist of it. Quantum computing is computing using quantum mechanical phenomena such as superposition and entanglement. It is such a complex thing that it's still very difficult to understand. So a quantum computer is a device that performs quantum computing. Such a computer is completely different from binary digital electronic computers based on transistors and capacitors. Whereas common digital computing requires that the data be encoded into binary digits, each of which is always in one of two definite states, 0 or 1. Quantum computation uses quantum bits or qubits, which can be in superposition of states. A quantum Turing machine is a theoretical model of a computer and is also known as the universal quantum computer. The field of quantum computing was initiated by the work of Paul Benioff and Yuri Manin in 1980. So this is all like just the Wikipedia stuff. Now, one of I guess one of the easiest ways to understand why there's been this fear of quantum computing and as it relates to crypto and privacy or personal keys and all of that is that with the common computer, with the classical computer today, like Bitcoin's SHA-256 algorithm, it basically can't be cracked by today's current computing systems, okay? And so the question has been, well, what about quantum computing? Well, the reality is that the nature of quantum computing, as I understand it so far, is that the number of qubits that these quantum computers are able to process also increase the potential and error for processing. Almost like, because it's almost like, God, how do I explain it? Not organic. Organic isn't really the right word. But ultimately, just because a quantum computer is able to calculate based off of, let's call it, 5 qubits or 20 qubits or 100 qubits, okay? The error rate of the actual processing within these systems is very high. They haven't figured out how to narrow the error rate in the computations of these qubits, okay? And because of that, I guess the easiest way of explaining it would be like, like waste disposal or something. Like maybe you have you have this big system that is, we're funneling trash into it, but it can only handle so much of that trash effectively. Whereas maybe we're throwing a ton of trash in every hour, but it's really only able to process a ton of trash a month. So everything else that it's doing is basically just kind of going to waste, and you have to come back around. And I don't know if that's a good analogy or not, but that's kind of how I understand it. And the first quantum, as I understand it, the first actual quantum computer came out in 2011, but it really didn't do anything. Like basically by coming out and saying, well, this quantum computer exists, as I understand it, it was only able to process so much over a span of seconds. It's not, in other words, I was under the assumption that we already had quantum computers, and technically we do, but they don't really do anything. It's going to be a decade or 2 decades before we see quantum computers capable of actual use case, as I understand it from everything that I've read. So we have at least a solid 10 to 20 years before we're ever even going to see quantum computing to an extent that would create a system for hackability of the crypto space. Now, having that being said, they're making advancements, but a lot of people are predicting, even when, like I guess Google wanted to be the big pioneer, and then IBM came out, and then Intel came out, and all these different companies are now, they're trying to compete with each other on it's almost like who can make it to the moon first. And I think ultimately these companies are trying to figure out who can create a functional, marketable quantum computer. The one computer that they created in 2011 that does basically nothing, like for 90 seconds, they were basically trying to sell that thing for $10 million. What's the point? I mean, so from here, the idea is, okay, let's say in 20 years even, where's the crypto space going to be in 20 years? It could be absolutely anywhere. So in 20 years, if we had a quantum computer capable of processing these qubits en masse, let's just say that were a possibility. Well, what happens to cryptocurrency? How is the security of cryptocurrency continued and furthered and protected? And so one of the theories is that it's not necessarily about the algorithmic complexity, if you will, within that cryptocurrency, but potentially a different model for security protection. Now, this, I'm going to have to move my head a bit so I can read it. This is a random note. Note, quantum computing should not be confused with quantum cryptography, which is the science of exploiting quantum mechanical properties to perform cryptographic tasks. A prime example of this is a quantum key distribution, which enables a secret cryptographic key to be shared between two remote parties such that any interception can be reliably detected. So basically what they're saying is that rather than having this algorithmic key that could potentially be cracked, it's basically taking this password, this encrypted password, chopping it up, and then dispersing it between, I don't know if you would do this over like a peer-to-peer system, where it's almost like, as I understand it, it's like a multi-key functionality. Where, I might have a part of this passphrase, somebody else might have almost like a nuclear launch missile key, where you got to have like 2 or 3 different people stand there and plug it at the same time to unlock anything. And I think they're basically creating these methods for doing this on the fly without it even being a thing that you're having to do directly or manually. And so there's obviously a lot to quantum computing and all of that. But ultimately, I don't even really believe that quantum computing, quantum mechanics, any of this stuff, I don't think that this is going to be anything to be truly be concerned with for at least a decade. And I think that by the time this has come about to a position that would create fear of security in the crypto space, we'll have already left it. Cryptocurrency will have already resolved any potential issues we're already thinking about it now. You already see different crypto companies launching, basically saying we're quantum safe, like, we're quantum secure. Quantum computers can't touch us. So, and I do think that there's going to be a time when I think the cryptocurrency space overall is going to be much faster in its growth and development than quantum computing technology will be. And so I don't consider it a concern whatsoever. I really don't. It is something, it's coming, and I think it will be a matter of time. But at the same time, I think quantum computing on that level is going to be so vastly and outrageously expensive that I don't see anybody. It's not like, you or me or even any some of these crypto whales. It's not like any of these guys are going to have one sitting in their living room, like hacking private keys to crypto holdings. I just don't think that's going to be the case. And something this powerful, I mean, if a quantum computer capable of processing, 50 qubits consistently at a low error rate were an actual thing, and you remember the craziness that Y2K brought about, where everybody thought the entire internet was going to crash at the strike of the year 2000. you know, and there was like mass hysteria. I think if there were computers capable of cracking all the security, well, and that brings me to another thing. What quantum computing will in fact threaten is HTTPS, TSL protocols, basically web-based security encryption protocols. That will be crackable fairly easily, as I understand it, from quantum computing. So our whole web-based security platform is going to be threatened by this. And so it's not crypto that needs to be concerned. What crypto keys and things like that, that's not the concern. What is the concern is being able to crack, you know, this SSL security, basically the encryption protocols that are used throughout the web to keep data encrypted and safe and secure from prying eyes. That is what's actually at risk. And so really there needs to be a new method of protecting data in an encrypted way without using like HTTPS or like these SSL, and there needs to be a new way of doing that, or that data will not be secure anymore. It may very well be up to blockchain to come up with that. And so for somebody out there who's watching, that very well could be, I mean, if there was a way to safely encrypt data through like an HTTPS, SSL, some sort of protocol like that, encrypt that data on a blockchain, coming to, I don't even know if that would be possible. I don't even know how that would work, but ultimately that's what it sounds like is being called for. Where are we at? 22 minutes. Let me take a look and see if everybody's yelling at me for being a moron. ADA is quantum resistant. So is IOTA. IOTA has security issues. Cardano ADA will be the best investment anyone can make. How far advanced are we talking here? Well, as I understand it, we're not very far advanced in quantum computing at all. I mean, they're making some advancements, but the advancements are super slow. And it, like I said, it's going to be decades before any of these guys come up with a computing system capable of processing multiple qubits simultaneously at a low error rate. Well, your favorite ADA Cardano has quantum resistant. That's and that's great. And there's a lot of stuff that I'm going to be. IBM says 5 years starting this year. Big hello, Darren N. Hello to Ireland. Bullrun May 2020 at latest. All right. So we got some information out about LBRY shuts down, sites lack of liquidity. You know, looking at the market, let me get rid of this image here. I mean, that's basically like a little bit of a primer on quantum computing. I just wanted to put something out there that kind of explained a little bit about what it is, what it does, what it means to the crypto space. Ultimately, I don't think it's really going to affect the crypto space, but I think that, you know, like you can see this security thing here. Quantum computing is going to be able to crack this kind of stuff, and that is a security risk, because that stuff is vital. So, you know, a lot of people are saying, you know, the bull run, you know, it'll happen within the next 3 years. You know, we're already in a position now where, you know, this is the longest bear market in Bitcoin history. But if you also notice that every time a bull run happens, it goes up significantly higher than it did in the previous bull run. And, you know, for me personally, I look at this as the technology is such that it's an opportunity now to truly get involved and establish your base before the next bull run hits. You know, which is why I'm doing a lot of the stuff that I'm doing. I want to be in crypto. Like, I want my YouTube channel and my businesses in crypto to be what I do from this day forward, from the time I quit my job, right? And so, I think that, and I've said this before, I feel like this isn't so much about when bull market, when moon. The market is changing. There's an underlining layer to cryptocurrency right now that is changing drastically and quickly. ICOs, I believe, to an extent, are potentially out at this point. Moving forward, I do believe that the market is going to be all about STOs. I mean, let's face it, the big banking institutions, the financial brokers, the stock brokers, there is an entire financial infrastructure well established on an international, on a global scale. And a lot of that hedges on the idea that non-accredited investors can't play ball unless they're paying somebody else a commission to do it. And I don't agree with that at all. I believe that anybody and everybody should have the freedom, especially in the United States. I believe that everybody should have the freedom to make investments as they see fit. It is up to them to do their own homework, to do their own due diligence on projects or investments that they want to put their money into, whether it's brand new, untested, or not. And I believe that we should have, look, if you're old enough to drink a beer or you're old enough to go and get your head blown off for your country, you should be free to do whatever the fuck it is you want to do when it comes to investing your own money. Because a lot of times I feel like these stockbrokers and these investment bankers and these types of people, they're all being incentivized. Like, you guys think that YouTubers who are talking about projects that they own are shills? It's everywhere. And it doesn't matter where you are. The difference is that a lot of these financial brokers who are out there shilling, they're shilling stuff that they're making direct rips off of. They're making a straight commission off of whatever they're able to put your money into. And so, and they're making that on the buy. It doesn't matter whether you win, lose, or draw. From what I understand, you place a stock order or something like that through a broker. I guess it depends on the broker, but, and maybe things have changed, but I know back in the day, man, you buy a stock, they're making a rip on that at jump. Like, it doesn't matter if it makes you money or not. What matters is what product they can actually sell you on to get your money. And so, but there's an entire infrastructure well established in the financial industry because of that and around that. And it bothers me, but it's the way things are. When the SEC comes out and says we're going to start regulating this space to effectively help protect the investors, but ultimately it basically shut the entire market down and sent everybody's potential profits into the toilet. I don't really understand how you can be saying that you're there to protect people. Yeah, sure. Okay, you caught a couple scammy ICOs. But in the process of that, you shut down the entire market. What is more dangerous? An individual investing on their own merit based off of the projects that they want or believe or hope are going to do well for them long term? Or just coming in and just blanket regulating a space with vague rules, laws, and regulations that nobody understands, scares the hell out of everybody, and pushes the entire market to its knees? I'd say just let people do what they're going to do. But unfortunately, that's not the case. And that's not how things work. And so I think that as an individual, my goal is to do what I can for myself and for my family and for those I'm involved with in business and otherwise. And by that, I mean, educate myself to try and make the best of this time we have, this break time, nap time, as we say to my daughter. She doesn't take really naps anymore, but it's an opportunity to learn as much as you can, to position yourself better so that when the next bull run does hit, whether that's 6 months or 6 years from now, you don't have to worry about money ever again. And I believe that we have a look into the future. We saw what happened with ICOs. A lot of people made a lot of money investing in ICOs, buying, trading, scalping, flipping. There are still a lot of people that make money daily just buying low, selling high. You know what I mean? Through technical analysis, making these scalp trades. And there's still money to be made now, even in this really elongated bear market. However, to me, it's about creating business. It's about creating relationships. It's about establishing a platform, a foundation from which to grow. And I think that as cryptocurrency investors like you, all of you, I'm sure, that are out there watching this right now, you guys really need to start looking at the bigger picture. Stop thinking so much about when is the next bull run going to happen? When is everything I invested in 2017 to early 2018 going to show me a return on that investment? Instead, look at that as a window into the future and know that it's best for you to focus on improving your position, whether that's in Bitcoin. Like Ethereum is not going anywhere. I don't care what like EOS, I don't know what the future is for EOS, but I know the Bitcoin, Ripple, I don't think Ripple's going anywhere ever. I could be wrong. Anything could happen. And none of this is financial advice, obviously, but of course I have my favorites like Cardano. But I mean, and Tron, look at the use case, look at the transaction data, look at how many users are opening wallets on these platforms, look at how many wallets exist. I've shown everybody a big list of tools that I use to kind of get a fundamental understanding as to where a particular cryptocurrency is in its state of life, right? And that information obviously helps understand whether or not something is going to shit or it's still being used and it's very likely going to go back up when the bull run happens. The top 10 today may very well not be the top 10 during the next bull market. So let me take a quick look at we need honest exchanges that sell one-to-one, no derivatives. Yeah, and that's honestly what I plan. I'm not doing any of the crazy stuff. You're not going to be able to. It's just exactly like you said. That's a good point. One-to-one. I don't care when next bull run comes. I'm accumulating until it comes, and that's okay. But make sure that with Bitcoin being as low as it is right now, $3,400. There's no reason not to accumulate some of that. At some point, I will probably do a video where I talk about, the top 10 potential gains over Bitcoin. Because a lot of these projects, the projects that are still around during the next bull run, you could potentially gain substantially more profit in the altcoin market than you will Bitcoin. I mean, let's look at the facts. Just taking basic calculations. Oh, you can't even. Oh, wait. Yeah, maybe you can. Yeah, there's my calculator. I was looking at the other thing. So if let's say it's $20,000, we're going to divide that by the current market value, $34.49. So that's almost. Let's just call it a 6x. When Bitcoin gets back to its $20,000 mark, that's almost a 6x return. But Tron, for example. What was Tron's all-time high? So 9 cents. Okay. So Tron's all-time high was 9 cents. That sounds kind of crazy. 0.09 divided by 0.2. Not so great. 4.5. So if Tron gets back to its all-time high, you're looking at a 4.5% return. However, that is this is where the calculation of earnings it gets difficult. because this calculation of 4.5x over Bitcoin's 6x or 7x or whatever return it was, it depends on whether or not you bought in directly with fiat. If you bought Bitcoin at $5,000, now it's worth $3,400, and you're talking about going into Tron, well, you're kind of screwing yourself. Because Tron's potential gains, if it reaches its all-time high, is very minimal compared to Bitcoin. So you're better off holding your Bitcoin. The idea is understanding it or getting like what coin will, like Cardano. Cardano's at we'll call it, okay, so it's 3 cents, but we'll call it 4 cents. I know its high was $1.33. So at $1.33, I divide that by its current price of 0.037, and I'm looking at a 35x return when Cardano gets back to its all-time high. And the question is, Cardano was $1.33. Do I think it's going to go higher than that in the next bull run? I do. I absolutely do. And in this, even if I bought Bitcoin at 10 grand, or I bought if I bought Ethereum at $1,000, hedging that against, basically, do I believe Cardano is going to go back to its all-time high or higher? Yes, I do. During the next bull run, I'm very confident. I actually believe that Cardano is going to be probable. I think it could end up in the top 5. That's what I believe, my personal opinion. And if it doesn't happen for a year or 2 years, well, that's okay. Because when it does happen, the gain potential is going to be so vast that it's just not going to matter. If you could retire in 2 years and not have to worry about making another dollar for the rest of your life, is it worth a 2 to 3 year wait? Do I think that the next bull run is actually going to take that long to take place? I don't necessarily think so. I think the next bull run is going to start when the institutions are ready for it to start. That's what I think. I don't think there's any magic formula or magic figure. I think it's when the institutional infrastructure has been established, that is when the next bull run is going to likely take place. Because there's been so much over-the-counter trading of big whales and major investors and institutions or otherwise. There have been so many people buying Bitcoin over the counter with millions and millions and millions of dollars that I would be a fool to think that they do not have the resources to get this coin really, really pumping into another bull run when they're ready to. I just think that we're just waiting. We're just waiting things out. And so, in coming videos, I'm going to be doing some videos on STOs, and I'm going to be doing different things. I might do a video where I'm just talking about some of the latest news. I'm going to be doing a lot of different things, but I really am going to try and focus on doing a daily video. This one is apparently only 38 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and cut it. May not be very long, but expect me to try and knock out a daily video from here on. And hopefully they'll get better and better. I feel a little rusty, I'm not going to lie. So we'll see how things turn out. But till next time, folks, crow your coins, and I'll be back at you pretty soon. Thanks.